What if you discovered that your understanding of what is bothering you, of what causes you distress, is actually incomplete? That you had been taught to do self-help with one hand tied behind your back, or that you could shift behaviors, emotions, and beliefs which cause you distress and limit you with greater ease and speed. In this video, I will share with you the missing piece that turns traditional self-help into empowered self-help. My name is Larry Burton, and if you like content which helps you to take the frustration out of self-help and equips you to move forward with greater ease, then be sure to subscribe to this channel and to click the notification bell. So like you, I've tried a variety of self-help techniques over the years, with most of them giving me limited results. And it wasn't until I discovered that I'd been taught an incomplete form of self-help that I was able to make some changes and experience significant improvement in the quality of my life. Let me explain. I started reading self-help books when I was in high school, and for the first 50 years, all the books that I read in that genre came from the same point of view. They came from a mind, body, or dualistic point of view, what I call a 2D or two-dimensional perspective. So for example, Albert Ellis, who's a famous psychologist, did writings in the area of stress, and he put forward his ABC model, where he said that A, which was an activating event, such as standing on the high dive over a swimming pool, that event plus your beliefs about how safe you were in terms of jumping off the high dive would result in C, or the consequence of the amount of stress that you felt in your body. So that was the model that I had been exposed to and understood self-help to be. But then I learned when I was around 50 that there was also an element of energy, that really our bodies are mind, body, and energy, and that the problems that we face, the challenges that we have in life, are made up of mind, body, and energy, or a 3D or three-dimensional perspective. So over the last 14 years or so, I've been putting together information and content around that, and then wrote this book, Self-Help 2.0, where I go into this more in depth. But in the rest of this video, I'm going to share with you an overview of the 2D versus a 3D perspective. Because as Charles Kettering, a famous engineer, said, a problem well defined is half solved. So looking at the 2D perception diagram, you'll notice on the far left, I have the word event. Now, what's important about this is that events in and of themselves are neutral. They have no inherent meaning. We actually give events their meaning by how we look at the event. So if you change the way that you see something, you're going to feel differently about it. Same thing with past events in our life. They only have the meaning we give them by how we see them today. Unfortunately, oftentimes we get stuck in how we perceive something when we were 7, 8, 9 years old, and we carry that into the rest of our life. But we can go back, look at an event from the past, see it differently, give it different meaning, and thus it has a different consequence or impact in our life. Moving over to the right, you'll see beliefs in a dotted line. It's because the beliefs act as a filter for the events. So if you're standing on the high dive over a pool, it depends on how you perceive that action as to how you're going to feel about it. So those beliefs are a filter. The same thing as when you put a filter over a light. If you put a green filter over it, you're going to get one result. If you put a yellow filter over it, you'll get a different one. Also, the box around beliefs is dotted because beliefs are optional. Your beliefs are not fixed. They are actually learned. For example, you may have liked one flavor of ice cream when you were younger, but now you prefer a different kind. Or you may not have liked one type of food when you were younger, but now you've learned to enjoy it. So beliefs can be changed because they're all learned, and anything that's learned, an old belief that is learned, can be unlearned and replaced with a more empowering belief. So when we change our mind, we're actually changing our beliefs about something. We're changing our perception of it. Most beliefs, though, are unconscious. We're not even aware of what it is that we believe. We just know that how it's impacting us. And it's in becoming more mindful and learning to observe our behaviors and how we feel that we can get an insight into what our beliefs are. The main point here is that most beliefs are learned from our environment, from our parents, from other significant people around us. But that insight gives us a tremendous amount of freedom because realizing that your beliefs are learned, you now have the power to shift those beliefs if you so choose. If there's a belief that's causing you distress at this point in your life, you have the freedom to change it in order to feel more peace and serenity in your life. So this insight gives you the ability, or increases your ability to respond instead of react to events in your life. And going to the right from beliefs, you'll see the boxes for mind and body, because depending on how you perceive an event is how it's going to affect your mind and consequently your body. So your perception of an event will trigger the release of a variety of natural chemicals in your brain, which then create the emotions you feel in your body when you experience an event. So an example is, if you are feeling, if you see something that creates the emotion of fear, what's happening is the brain is releasing cortisol, which you then experience as fear. Or if you're in a sporting event or you're excited or at a concert, and then the brain is releasing adrenaline, which you feel as excitement. And if it's a pleasurable event, then the brain releases dopamine, which gives you that feeling of pleasure and safety. This also can be understood in terms of the use of medications and the placebo effect, because there have been many studies which have shown that it depends on if you think something is going to help you as to whether or not it does. So they've given people sugar pills, told them that they were an antibiotic, and people got better because they took the sugar pill. And on the flip side, there's what's called nocebo, where people were told that something is going to harm them, but it was actually a neutral product, and they did develop symptoms as if they were being injured by what they had taken. So the mind does affect the body significantly in that way. Traditional self-help was limited right into that place. It was a mind-body approach. But we now know that energy is a dynamic element in our body and can be a dynamic element in how we approach self-help. The whole area of quantum physics goes very much into this, that everything is a form of energy. And I'm suggesting that it includes our emotions, our beliefs, and our memories. So now let's look at the 3D perception diagram and compare that to what we saw with the 2D. So looking at the 3D perception diagram, you'll notice that event and beliefs are the same as they were on the 2D diagram. Events are still neutral and beliefs are still learned. And we have the freedom to shift beliefs if we so choose. But now we're introducing the dynamic presence of our energy system. So this understanding has been growing over the last 100 years. We know it in quantum physics that the existence of energy, that if you go into the subatomic level, that atoms are really made up of energy. But I don't know about you, but when I was coming up through high school and college, they told me that atoms and everything was solid. So when I look at the desk in front of me, they're telling me that's actually solid. But we now know that it's actually just energy vibrating, and I perceive it and experience it as being solid. Nevertheless, it's still a form of energy. And it's an up-to-date to classical physics of Newton, where everything was mechanical. Now we're going and realizing that things are really just different forms of energy. This understanding has led to the field of energy psychology in the last 50 years or so, where we intentionally work with the energy underlying any distress that you are experiencing. And you can work with the energy of your emotions, you can work with the energy of beliefs, you can work with the energy of memories. Everything is a form of energy. Use the analogy of water. Water can be a liquid, it can be a solid, as an ice, or it can be a gas, but it's still water, just in different forms. It's the same with energy. The challenge is that you can't see energy, but we can't see gravity either, but yet we still experience it on a daily basis. We can't see the wind, but we can see the effects of the wind in the leaves rustling on a tree or the grass waving in the wind. Gravity and wind exist even though we're not able to see them directly, but we can see the effects. So it is with energy. Energy is a very real dynamic. And when you learn how to work with the energy, you can shift the item itself. So that's where the intention on the 3D perception diagram comes in. When you use your intention to shift the underlying energy of a belief, you shift the belief itself. And when you shift a belief, you shift how you see a problem. Therefore, you shift the impact that event or problem has on you emotionally and physically. So you can begin to see the power of defining self-help and defining our issues and challenges as being 3D, their mind, body, and energy. And to go back to Charles Kettering, where he said that a problem well defined is half solved, that's what we're doing here. I'm suggesting that we move from a 2D perception diagram to a 3D perception diagram. We redefine self-help as being mind, body, energy, and it's going to allow us to have a lot more success. So if you're frustrated by the lack of results that you've been seeing from using traditional self-help, you can now see that there is a missing piece. You had not been taught the energy component of self-help. We've been taught an incomplete understanding of our challenges, so our strategies for solving those problems and challenges in our lives have also been incomplete. But that can change for you if you're willing to change the way that you understand your life's challenges and your approach to self-help. In the next video, I'll give you greater detail about energy and to give you the evidence that it is a very real dynamic in our life. In the meantime, if you like, you can always pick up a copy of my book and go into this in more detail. See you in the next video.